So here we're going to start with page 15, and it's going to be a review of the vowels with this really neat Beth letter right in the middle of the page, and the different kinds of vowels. So we're going to be reading it, of course, from right to left, where we've got the short A vowel. So you got Beth and the short A vowel, which is A, the long A vowel, A, the E vowel, E, the E vowel, I translated it I, E, and then the U vowel, U. And now I'm going to give you their names. This would be Be, Ptacha, Ba. So that's Beth, Ptacha. We call it the opener, Ptacha, the short A. Ba. Be, Skapa, Ba. So that's called Skapa, the rising. Ba. Be, Zlama. Beth, Zlama, Be, Be. Beth, Khwasa, so it's E, Khwasa, Beth, Khwasa, B, and Beth Asasa or Beth Rawasa. It has two names. It can be Asasa or it can be Rawasa, but it's the U sound. So it's either Rawasa or Asasa Alisa. So Beth Rawasa Bu, Beth Asasa Bu. And you can go through that with a whole bunch of letters. You could, imagine that we're going to put the M here, the meme, and it would be ma, ma, me, mi, mu. Right? We could put the dalet right here from dibba and go da, da, de, di, du, and etc. So this works really well in the Western Sirta vowels. And so here, let's go through them again. So Alap Zlama E, Alap Tacha A, Alap Skapa A, Alap Rwasa E, and Alap Osasa U. So we have Bet, Skapa, Alet, Ba, Ba. Bet, Skapa, Wow. Now this wow is not a vowel. It's just going to be a W. So this is long A with a bar on top, W. Ow. Or if you pronounce it with the Western pronunciation, it should be O. Right? It's O with a W ending. O. So this would be Ba, Ba. De, Ba. Ma, de, ba, adam, da, ma. Here we have the letter of he, and it's an H, and our H's are clear. Sometimes I think this is one of the hardest things for Westerners to pronounce is a h in the middle of the word, and it's in the ch seems easier to the Western than just the so it would be like in Farsi we have a lot of that. Sometimes you also get it in Syriac. So this is just that exhaling H sound. He. So with skapa, ha, with rawasa, he, and with asasa, hu. Ha, he, hu. So this is the word for flower. It would be ha, ba, ba. And there's some rules on softening we'll get into later. We would pronounce it habawa, habawa. But it's okay if you say hababa, at least to learn. So again, let's go through them. It's he, ptacha, ha, he, skapa, ha, he, zlama, he, rwas, chwasa, he, and he, asasa, hu. So he, chwasa, yud, he. And again, this is just indicating that that's being used as a vowel, not a consonant. He, asasa, wow. But really you should read it as he, asasa, because that's not a wow. It's just there so that that vowel that marker can't not have a letter after it, the way Syriac works. So it's who. It's really the correct way to have said that is he asasa or he rwasa. It's H-U, who. So aba, awa, ha, haba, hawa, hade, awa, ha, haba, hade. Father, behold this bloom. So we have he, ptacha here, ha, he, sasa, who, which actually means he. It's a third person masculine singular pronoun. Who. You have he, skapa, ha, it's behold, and it sounds like it, ha. And you have he, achwasa, he. So, ba, ha, ba, which is a form of the word for baby, bawusa, which, especially the Western pronunciation, they wouldn't say ba, they would say bobo. And you can see a baby being called bobo. But we would say it as bawa or baba. And because it sounds like the Turkish baba, that becomes common as a way to say daddy. It's not used really among Eastern Syriac speakers. So you had zlama, and again, I'm not going to call it the Alap. I'm just going to say it's a zlama. And then mim, skapa, ma, emma. He, she, imma. So she's mother. He, imma. Dada. Who, dada. He's uncle. Ha, ibbe. So right there, ha, ibbe. So there's your ptacha. Ba, ma, di, he, bu. Da, hi, be, ma, de. Hu, ba, mi, du, ha, me, ha, da, bi, mu. Da, mi, bu, ma, hadi. So these two dots are called siame, and they're placed as above a word that is in plural. So I know that if they weren't here in this word, I would read it as nuna, a fish. But because I have them, I'm going to use the plural, nune. And that letter is the nun. So the nun can get confusing with a couple other letters like the yud. So right there we've got a yud, right? And the Western nun, it has to be the same height as your waws, as your zains. It's at this kind of medial height of letters. It's not as tall as an Alap, and it's at that height. So a yud would have to be about half that height. And that's a good way to see it. And a lameth would be about double or triple that height. So, right, because the lameth, the L is going to go up. The yud is going to be just the minimum you can put, right? Not a jot or an iota or a yud. It's the minimal. And the nun is in that middle size. So you have nun, and then there's the ending nun, which is that kind of slash at the end of the line. So you have a nun, and what's following the nun, it's not a consonant. You can't call it a vowel. What's following it's a nun asasa or a nun rwasa. It's nu, right? There's no wa in it. It's not nu, it's nu. So right under it, it's nu nara, nura, fire. Ma-ni. So ma-ni. That's a nun khwasa. It's not nun yud khwasa, it's a nun khwasa. There's no y to it. It's just ni. Ma-ni, ma-ni. Nu-ne. So there was nu-na as a fish. So here's nu-na, one fish, and then we changed that skapa, that a skapa, to a zlama. So nu-na becomes nu-ne. Ha-na means this for masculine. Ha-na. So nuna, hana, this fish. There's this fish. Nuna, hana. Or you could say hana, nuna. So more nun. Han, which is a short way of saying hana. It also means this. And then right there you have akhwasa nun, in. It means yes. So if you at the rogation of Ninevites, there's serious supplications in which the congregation responds, yes, Lord, in mar. You say, in mar, yes, my Lord. Moon is what? So that's mim, rwasa or asasa, mim, rwasa nun. And that's a zlama nun, in, if. So this is the word this, han, in, yes, moon, what? And in, if. But man, written with a ptacha, becomes who. Man, 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 who is it, right? Man, who, and that he with after it, is the word for is. So manu, who is it? Han, this, or more clearly, hana. Dun, dina, judgment. Man, hade, mun, hana. So then we have the word chet. So it's got two in it. It seems kind of rough like it sounds, chet. The more probably correct translation will be het. But my dialect, it becomes a ch. So you have khawla, you got chet, ptacha, bet, chaw, Lameth, skapa, Alap, la, khawla, which is a rope, khawla. You get kh, so that's just the chet by itself. Mim skapa ma, resh skapa ra, khmara, a donkey, or hmara. You have ptacha, chet skapa, acha, brother. Khana, it's a girl's name. Khuma, Acha, chad is one. And if you'll notice, sometimes certain letters I pronounce with a softness. So the letters like d and b, I might go v or wa. We're going to get to those rules later. Acha, chad, brother, one. Here's your lameth. You notice it's a tall letter. And that's important because it distinguishes it from several other letters. And it looks kind of like an L. So lu, cha. So that's lameth asasa, chet, skapa, lu, cha. Lameth. And then there's your lameth in the middle of a word. At the end of the word, especially Sarta script, there's a tendency to kind of swoosh the pen upwards. So you have Lameth sasa lu, Lameth akhwasa li. So if lu kha, the chalkboard. Le ba, a heart. Khala, maya, water. Notice the two dots means it's plural. Ha, lucha. It's like, and ha is used like the, kind of like the French voila or like the Russian vot. We don't really have this word in English. So in Russian, you go like vot, like here it is. So this is like this ha, like behold. Ha, lucha. It's like, and page 23, nuna min yamma. So that's the fish from the ocean, and that meme is shared by both those vowels. So that's a Y, A, M, and then an M, A with a bar over it. So it's yamma. And we'll get into those rules later. So it's nuna min yamma. Nuna yamma min maya. Nuna, hana, nuna. Dibba, hade, dibba. Akha, hawli, maya. Akha, yamma, dibba, nuna, maya. So bananas, and we don't call them bananas, we call them Muza. This is Zen. Zen is like an Alap that can't ever be higher than Alap's belly button. So basically, if you have a Zen and an Alap right here, you've got that pair. You see, it's got to be like a little kid. And it usually go lower on the line. So you can see he barely does that, but this Zen is lower than the Alap. And that's really where you can tell the difference in the Western script, in the Serto or Hatta. So you've got Zen. You see, it's about maybe a little taller than the vowel, but it's definitely a medial, not a tall. It's a short letter. So zu, ze, money. Zahi, nice boy's name. Zu, ze, zuza, zuze. So zuza wouldn't have those two dots. That's telling us it's plural, and that would be a skapa. Zuza, but it's plural. It's a bunch of money. Zuze. Muza. How would you say bananas? Muze. Right? So, za, zu, ze. Zahi. Zahi. Zu, ze. Zuze. Waza. Waza. Zai. Chaze. Muza. So chaze, he sees. Chaze. So it's a chet. Skapa cha. Zen. Zlama ze. Zai chaze muza. Zil waza zil. Go duck go. That's cool. Zil waza zil. Taw. So, and it's taken from the top. The tow's done from the top, comes down, and it's got to have a curve right here. You don't really see it here unless you're looking closely, but that part's got to have a curve. So here's the word for garlic. So right there it's with arwasa or asasa. Tuma. So ta, tu, ta, ti, te. Ate. Ha. Ate. Behold, he comes. Tuta. So it's a berry. Hatuta. Ta'acha. Tiu. Sit. So it's written tib, but I soften that bit into a wa sound because the vowel before it kind of makes me do that. And just follow along until we get to that. Ta achatu. Ha awa ate. Ha aba ate. Resh. So before we had the dalet, and that dalet, you'll remember, had the dot at the bottom. So there's a dalet right there, you see? Dot at the bottom, and let's jump ahead, and there's your resh, and it's the dot on top. You see, and it's really just a kind of, it's a marker, and then there's a dot on top or bottom. If on top, it's a resh. If it's on the bottom, it's a dalet. So we've got some great words here. Resh ptacha ra bet skap ba. Rabba, the great. That's literally what it means. Big. Rama, tall. Risha, head. So tall head would be Risha Rama. Resh. Resh ptacha ra bet skapa ba rabba. He ptacha ha. Resh skapa ra. Hara. Mim ptacha ma. Resh khwasari. Mari. Ha. Nura. Here's the fire. Behold the fire. Here we have sumkat, the S. It's just like the English S. Sa, sa, su, si. So here's the word for grandpa or old man. Yes, especially classical Syriac, just called grandpa, the old man. Sawa. Or the Westerns would say sabo, sobo. But sawa. So sawa, the old man. Sawa, susa, sala, sala. So the basket. Sawa, ta, sao. Sao is take something. So saying, Grandpa, come take. Sawa, ta, sao, sala. Hey, that. So come, Grandpa, come take that bucket, that basket. Sawa ta saw salahay. Gammal. Goo. G. So we have Gammal Taqa Ga, Gammal Khwasa Gi, Gammal Taqa Ga, Gammal Asasa Gu, Gammal Khwasa Gi, وجمل اسقاپا Ga. Gammal Taqa Ga, Yut Skapa Ya, Ga, voice name. Gammal Asasa Gu, Bet Skapa Ba. Guba, so that's a well, Guba. Then we have Simket Ptacha Gemmel, Sag, Gemmel, Khwasa, Gi. And again, that Gemmel gets shared, so it's you transliterated S-A-G-G-I, because that Ptacha needs a place to land, so it's going to use the Gemmel, but then the Gemmel has that E after it, so it gets used twice, so it becomes not sa-gi, but segi, or sagi. Sagi has two j sounds in it. And we do double consonants, and they're important. So, the Western tradition, Morboy, do not do it. But definitely in the Eastern tradition, they're important. Sagi. Gaya, ha-gamla, Maya Minguba. And last one for today is Taw. So we learned this Taw that goes from the top and curves back. And then we have this Taw, which is just like the Eastern Taw. T. So you have Taura. So if you see that, it's the Taw, Tacha, Wow. So you would transliterate that T-A-W, Taw. Right? The wow there is not a vowel. The vowel is Ptacha. So it's a letter. It's a consonant. Taw. Resh. Skapa. So it'd be R with an A with a bar over it. Taura. So Taw. Skapa ta. Taw zamate. Taw ptacha ta. Taw khwasa ti. Taw asasa tu. So bay ta. House. So again, that is a y sound, right? That is the consonant Y. There's no vowel here. So it's Beth, Tacha, Yud. Bay, Ta, Sa, Te, Cha, Ta, sister. Chata, Ha, It, Beta, Zete. Sister, behold, there is house, olives. Inna, Itli, Chata, I have a sister. Inna, I, Ithli, I have, Chata, a sister. So next video we'll be concluding this book of Qlida or Qlido, Pushum Shena.